So let's go back to Dolores again.
Yes.
So if you could set the stage for her, as why did she say to you, "You never say yes"?
Okay, so it was Thanksgiving, and we were having Thanksgiving at my house, which meant that somebody else, my sister Dolores, was cooking, and I was pretending to help her cook, which really meant I wasn't doing anything at all. I'm the baby of the family. That's my job.
Do nothing at all.
Just look slightly busy, and everybody just gets frustrated, and they take it away from you, and then they do it themselves. It works. So we were having Thanksgiving, and she was cooking, and it was early in the day, and I was doing the thing that I do, which is I'm always trying to get my siblings to be impressed with me, because they're just not. And at the time, I had, shows on television and things were going well, and I would get all these amazing invitations and opportunities. And so I was trying to impress her by telling her about all these amazing opportunities that I was getting. I was like, the king of Monaco wants me to go here, and I've been invited to do this and that and this and that. And it was all this stuff that, I think other people would have, dreamed to be able to do, just once in a lifetime opportunities. And she looked at me very calmly, and she said, "Shonda, are you gonna do any of these things?" And my response was absolutely not, no. It never even occurred to me that I would do them. And she looked at me, she was so sad when she looked at me, because she said, you have all the support. It's not like you don't have reasons, but you never say yes to anything. And she was basically afraid that I wasn't enjoying my life. And she was absolutely right. So that happened. And I was sort of mad at her for deciding that she knew me better than I knew myself. And I really was like, you don't know anything. And then I was invited I just joined the board of the Kennedy Center back in the Obama administration. And I was invited to go to the Kennedy Center honors. And when I arrived, they told me that I would be sitting with President and Mrs. Obama. They did not ask, they told me. So I was terrified, but I did it because somebody had told me I had to. And I was so scared, but I ended up having the most amazing time. I had never met them. This was not like a thing where I was seeing people I knew. This was completely new for me. And I had the most amazing time. And when I got home, I sat down and I thought about it, and I realized that if they had asked me if I had wanted to sit with the president and the first lady, I would have said no. Absolutely, without question, would have said no, because that was too terrifying. And I realized that I would have missed this amazing opportunity, because I was so scared that I was always saying no to things. And so that was really when I decided that I would spend 1 year saying yes to everything that scared me. Yeah. And a lot of things scared me.
And a lot of things did scare you. What's interesting about that story to me is that I was there, and I remember being in awe of seeing you.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that amazing?
I was barely breathing. I really want to say that.
It didn't show, which is another thing that's
good.
interesting. You can just fake it and pretend like you're just where you belong. You seem quite comfortable in your own skin, and so what you projected on the outside wasn't what you're feeling on the inside.
Well, that's good that I could hide it, I guess.
Well, but I bet you there are some people in this audience who are shy, or who grew up shy, who've been trying to overcome it. So as you embarked on this year of saying yes, what did you have to talk to yourself? Did you have to lecture yourself? How did you get the courage to do that which you had not had the courage to do previously?
One of the things was that once I realized that I had been saying no to everything, once it was pointed out that I never said yes, it was this itchy thing in my brain that I couldn't unknow. So once you know it, you can't unknow it. And what it really pointed out to me was not that I was not saying, yes, it wasn't really about that as much as the fact that I wasn't living my life at all. My characters were living these big, giant, extraordinary lives, doing all kinds of amazing things, and I was sitting in a corner writing it for them. But that was about as much as I was living. I wasn't really leaving my house. I wasn't socializing with people. I spent all of my time, just as I had when I was a kid, imagining things and then making them happen, writing them up and watching them happen. And I had the best playground in the world. I mean, come on. They built me an OR. They built me an Oval Office. I just played. But I wasn't doing anything besides that. And so what I realized was that I was living a life that I was not enjoying at all, except when I was imagining. And that was a problem.
So the hum, you talk about the hum, which is I call it being in the zone, but I think it's the same thing. And for your characters, where do they come from? Where in your head do these ideas come from? And the range of ideas you have, I mean, you've really covered the gamut. Where does it come from? How does it start? How do you think it through? And is there any correlation between the characters and a life you would want to live? Like if maybe like is there a character there that you would say, if I could be anybody in the world, that's who I'd want to be?
I don't know. All my characters have done some pretty awful things, so I'm not sure I'd want to be them. But
Christine
Yang, she's pretty great. Yeah, that might be the one.
Pretty good.
But you know, people always ask me like, where do I get my ideas? And if I knew that, God, I would be a billionaire because I would just bottle it and sell it to all people and move on. I don't know where they come from, but I do know that sometimes I'll hear somebody say something, or I'll have an image in my head, or something will happen and it'll spark an idea, and that idea, I let it grow and grow and grow. Some of those ideas die on the vine. Some of them, if they're still in my head like 6 to 8 months later, I'm basically ready to write a script in a couple of days, which is great. But I noticed this the other day, and I said this the other day, and my team was like really surprised, but I've only ever written about one thing, which is being alone, the fear of being alone, the choice to not be alone, whether or not you're gonna find your person so you won't feel alone, and how you're gonna cope with the idea that you're isolated and alone. And when I really thought about it, I mean, that's really the essence of the people. Like, everyone's trying to find community in these stories. Everyone's trying to not be isolated and lonely. I mean, that's what Queen Charlotte is. That's what Olivia Pope's doing as she tries to control her environment so crazily. That is Meredith Grey. I mean, she didn't say pick me, choose me, love me because she was healthy. That wasn't a healthy thing to say, you know? Like, I think that that's really the heart of a lot of what I write about is. And I don't know where it comes from, but I also know that if you know me well enough and you watch the shows, you can know exactly like what mood I was in, what was happening in my life at the time, based on what happens on the shows.
So some of your characters do perfectly dreadful things.
Yes.
But
everybody in Scandal is a murderer. Every last person.
But you kind of like them. You know, there's something.
Yeah.
They are human.
You understand them.
Well, that's kind of where I was heading with this. Is that I think that one of your gifts, one of your many gifts, is the ability to instill empathy in the viewer.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Is it something intentional? Because you have the ability to get across social messages, social justice messages, political messages, all kinds of stereotypical messages about criminal justice, the LGBTQ communities, illnesses, and you do your homework. Mm-hmm. Anything's on your show, it is accurate.
Yes.
Is that something that you were very intentional about, or is it just part of the creative process?
No, we talk about it in the writer's room a lot. It's one of the things that I like to make sure that all of the writers in my writer's rooms understand as they come through, like I would say, come through the Shondaland experience. All of our stories should be a window and a mirror. A window into a world you've never known, and a mirror that holds up your own life to you to reflect back at you. And in doing so, that, for me, our job is the creation of empathy. If you are not empathizing with our characters, if you're not on that journey with our characters, if you're not crying with Christina when she's ripping off her wedding gown, or devastated when Olivia Pope gets kidnapped, you've missed something. We've not done our job correctly. So for me, the creation of empathy is actually how story works and how you get invested in the story and why an audience wants to spend, 451 episodes with people who they've met on television. It's a very interesting world because I think a lot of people think that entertainment is just the plot. And to me, entertainment is you're at home, you're alone, you're watching TV, so we're making sure that you're not alone.
Right?
Yeah.
So I will tell you one of the most painful scenes in any of your shows was when you killed George. Right? Am I right? If you don't know it, go find it.
It was painful for me too.
Well, I was going to ask you, because you killed a lot of people in your shows. But I loved George. I really loved him. I mean, I sobbed when you killed George. And it took us a minute to realize it was George, and then I was Lord. But so how do you decide when it's the end and how to end it? Because you could just be like Christina and go off into a wonderful career. You don't have to always die.
You don't always die. I try to tell the best story possible, and I always say this. People always say like, well, the fans are thinking this, or the network would like this, or the actor wants this. My job is to be the keeper of the story. I'm the only person standing there on that set who is the keeper of the story. I'm not the keeper of the actors. I'm not the keeper of the network. I'm not the keeper of the fans. My whole job is to stay true to the story that we were going to tell and make sure it gets told correctly. That's the point. And I know that it's devastating that is how George died. But when you met George in the first episode, he was declared 007. The way we were going to end that story would only work in the most magical way is if, at the end, you were looking into the face of 007. Like that was really important to me. And that was the best way to tell that story. I know because you're still devastated by it.
Still, years later. But on a happier note, I also, in preparation for tonight, went back and looked online for the dance out that both Christine and Meredith did when Christine was on her last show, which you actually missed the filming of.
I did. I missed the filming of it.
And I burst into tears again just watching it. And here that is, years later from the time that it happened. Mm-hmm. But that relationship, when you say to somebody, that's my person, that is something that everyone can relate to. And then how did you decide that was the way to do it, and how did you pick the song?
Okay, so that was the whole story. It was time for Sandra was ready to go. She'd been on the show for 10 years. I was, by the way, not ready for her to go. I don't think I'll ever have been ready for Christina Yang to leave the show. But I wanted her leaving to be joyous. And I wanted her, who is a woman who has this genius, to have her exit not be based on a man or other people's opinions. I wanted it to be based on what brought her joy. And to me, the most important thing that she could do before she left was come back and have this moment where she danced it out with the most important person in her life. And that was such a fun thing to do because it was something that they'd always done with one another. It was something that she'd always sort of forced Meredith into. And that moment was their friendship all wrapped up. It was all the seasons you'd ever seen them. It was everything. And choosing the song was really hard. When we recorded the scene, I wasn't there, but when we recorded the scene, they used some I don't know, pop song or I don't even know what they used, but something loud and raucous. And I kept putting songs to it and thinking this is wrong, this is wrong. So the only way to really handle, and I was at the point I was grieving because Sandra was leaving. But the only way to handle it was we went back and we found the song from season 1, the very first Tegan and Sarah song from season 1. And we put it under the scene. And then we slowed everything down and we played it for a full minute. And to me, it gave her the send-off that she deserved.
Go check it out. If you don't remember it, watch it again. It was a beautiful scene. All right, so let's go back to, you did the Dartmouth speech. What are the other things that you made up your mind right away to say yes to? And then let's talk a little bit about saying no, which is a part of saying yes.
I mean, there were plenty of things on the list. So, they started out very outward-facing. I'm going to give a commencement speech. I'm going to do an episode of Jimmy Kimmel. I'm going to go and, there were just things like that. I was on the Mindy Kaling show because Mindy somehow, I don't feel like she heard through the grapevine I was saying yes, and she called and said, will you be on my show?
Neither of which you wanted to do and tried to get out of.
Yeah, I didn't want to do any of these things at all. They were all horrible. They were. But A, doing the thing that you're afraid of undoes the fear. And B, then the things got more inward facing. I said yes to letting go of all the judgment that we put on ourselves as mothers. I said yes to playing with my kids every single time they asked, even if it was only for 15 minutes. I said yes to my health and ended up losing 100 and something pounds, and really mostly, don't applaud the weight loss, applaud the mental transformation that came with it, which was me really realizing that I needed to take care of myself. There were a lot of things like that. The list went on, but I think the deepest ones were things where I learned to say yes to difficult conversations. I learned to say yes to saying no. I learned to say yes to losing some toxic people in my life that were not moving me forward at all, which was really hard. So there were a lot of them.
Everybody's nodding because you know those people.
Yeah, we all know those people.
Get rid of those people in your life. I want to get back to the 15 minutes. How many of you are parents in this room? Okay, a lot of parents.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you're a single mom.
Yes.
I'm a single mom.
Yes.
My daughter's a lot older than your daughters, but still, once a mom, always a mom. So the 15-minute rule that you had, tell us how that came about and why you did it and why it worked.
Yeah, so, my daughters at the time were, I think, maybe 2, 3, and 14, maybe, around that age. And, my middle daughter, Emerson, she was still at the stage where she was still a baby on your hip, but she spoke in full sentences, and she referred to everybody as honey, like she was a Southern waitress. She really did. She would say things like, honey, I need some more milk in my sippy cup. Like, she really was that kid. And there was just one day, my life was really busy, things were going well, I was doing all the things I was supposed to be saying yes to. I was actually on my way out the door to give a speech, to give somebody else an award, which was a yes. And she said, Mom, I want to play. And the first thing that happened was I realized, like, oh, she's not saying honey anymore. Like, she stopped calling people honey, and I missed that entirely. And there have been so many times when I'd been like, I can't play right now, I have to go, I have to do it. And so in that moment, I was like, you know what, yes, I will play. And she had sticky hands, and I was wearing a ball gown, but we played, and it was fantastic. And I was a little bit late to give the award, but it got done. And after that, I decided that every single time my children asked me to play, I would say yes. And the secret to it was, they're 2 and 3 and 14. If a 2 or 3-year-old asks you to play and you say yes, they're not interested in you after about 15 minutes. They're just not. Like, you're not, Dora the Explorer or whoever it is on television now that everybody loves. You're not any of those people. And if you can get your 13-year-old to talk to you for 15 minutes, you've won the lottery. I don't know what you've done as a parent, but I want to know you. So for me, it was like this simple thing, but it truly changed the fabric of my daily life because my kids suddenly felt like I was always available to them. And I started to feel like I was knowing myself and my family more. And for some people, the 15 minutes doesn't have to be about your kids. It has to be about, whatever it is you need to be making time for. But just give yourself the permission to do it, to do whatever is taking care of you.